Welcome back to the studio. I'm working on another painting for my big show in Santa Fe. And this one is a little burro and her foal. This is in Greece, and she's got baskets of sunflowers and stuff. And Jack and I have taken photographs of everything, you know, over being together 26 years and traveling and whatever, you know, so we have tons of photographs that I can go through and use for reference. Had a great one for my mama burro, the little Jenny, but didn't have one for the baby. I looked through and just couldn't find exactly what I was wanting. So I went on Google, found this adorable little baby. And fortunately, on the photograph was the photographer's website, JackieGoodmiller.photography.com. So I went to her website and contacted her, had a phone number, so I gave her a call. And just gracious lady, just really sweetheart. I told her that I wanted to use her image of the little burro foal in a painting and call it, I'm trying to decide on two names. I've either got Flower Girl or Flower Girl in Training. But anyway, she was so very, very gracious, and she said, oh my goodness gracious, no problem at all. I would love for you to use my photograph in your painting. And just really neat. But just wanted to tell you, you know, copyright's a big thing. So if you're looking on Google and you find an image that you want to use, make every effort that you can to contact the photographer, whoever, you know, posted that image, to get permission, because those are copyrighted and you just can't copy photographs off the internet. You can't copy photograph or copyrighted images. That's against copyright law. And the artist owns the copyright to that image. Even if, like, when I sell a painting, that I still retain the copyright on that painting, on that image. I can license that image. The people that buy the painting are just buying the painting. They're not buying the rights to reproduction or anything like that. So, and the artist automatically retains that copyright, and it extends 25 years past their death. Then the image goes into public domain. And if I'm not correct on that, somebody please tell me, but that's how I understand it. So anyway, this cute little baby, Jackie was just so gracious to let me use her little foal in my painting. So what I'm doing now is I have completed the background. We're in Greece. Blue shutters, pink bougainvillea, and I've just done one of my regular tile floors instead of the Grecian stone floor with the white grout, because I wanted the floor more toned down to focus more on my burro and her baby. And I'm putting orange California poppies in here behind the Jenny and her foal. These are mixtures of my cadmium orange and cadmium red light, cadmium orange plus alizarin crimson, cadmium red light plus alizarin crimson, and pure cadmium orange. The light's coming in from the left, so my flowers on the left side are going to be brighter, lighter, and I'm going to have some light skipping across the top of these. But now these are going to be in shadow from our bougainvillea and the burro. So these are darker over here. I just block my flowers in first. I did put a little green here when I was doing the floor, just because I wanted to establish that back line of the floor. But so here I have to be very careful in laying my color on top of that green so that I don't pick up the greens. See how I picked that green up on my brush? I think you can see that. And that would make, if I kept painting with that, then my flower color would get dirty. So I have to keep wiping my brush. The secret, and if you've watched my videos, you've heard this a jillion times, but the secret to nice, clean, crisp, beautiful colors on your canvas is a clean brush. I have to work very carefully around my sketch. The sketch was washed in with a mixture of my mud, which is 2 parts of ultramarine blue, plus 1 part of alizarin crimson, and I then mix liquid into that. So that dries overnight. So my sketch is dry. So I can go back, if I happen to come back over my sketch like I did right here on the hindquarters of my little baby, I can just take a clean brush and just lift that color off. So it makes it very convenient. And I try to be very accurate. I like to establish the values with my block-in sketch. You can see the fold and the burrow, I've got the values established on their light and shadow patterns. I want to get their form, their shape, their conformation all correct. So when I come back and paint, it's very easy to follow that. I don't have to work those things out when I'm working with color and everything. I could concentrate on my color. So I'm going to I work very carefully around my sketch. But again, if I pop over that like so, I can just wipe it out. I have to clean my brush with my thinner. I use Terpenoid odorless paint thinner because I work, my easel is set up in what would actually be the living room of our home, and so I don't want turpentine smell. So this is wonderful, and believe me, we have tried the odorless paint thinners that you can get at Home Depot, and unfortunately they are not really odorless. They do have quite an odor, so the Terpenoid is really worth the extra money. Okay, I'm going to start putting some greens in here, some of my foliage. And again, the reason I block in the flowers first and leaves last is so that I keep my flower color nice and pretty and clean. So let's start working. My foliage here is mixtures of phthalo blue plus cadmium orange plus white. I'm going to have to switch to a smaller brush in a little bit, but I try to use the biggest brush I can until I just can't use it anymore. And then I go to a smaller brush. This keeps me from getting too nitpicky right at the beginning. And this is just phthalo blue plus white. Add some coolness in there. With the oranges being very warm, then adding some of this cool color around them makes them appear brighter. Also, orange and blue are complementary colors. They're across from each other on the color wheel. So by placing them next to each other, the orange appears brighter. Just a color theory that is something that Jack taught me, and I use it a lot in my paintings, and that really increases the brightness. People said, oh my gosh, your paintings are so happy and bright. Well, a lot of that is because of the color combinations I use. So I do place a lot of complementary colors next to each other. That's one reason I chose to put California Poppies in here. I had originally thought about doing geraniums, but with the blue shutters, I thought that would really make it snappy to have the orange flowers instead of the reds of the geraniums. And then I'm going to, on the little burrow, I'm going to have her little halter have some reds in it too, so this doesn't compete with the reds then in her halter. You can see I've gone to a smaller brush now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out these and show you that, and then I'll paint the rest of them later, but off the video. But this will show you how I paint them. Go ahead and do this here. And again, I can paint, I've painted over her little leg there, her little hawk, but I'm going to fix that. I just love this little baby. Baby critters are fun. Fun to paint. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is take a mixture of alizarin crimson plus some of my liquid. And some of you have asked about the liquid. It's actually called Liquid Original. It's made by Winsor Newton, and this is what it is. And it speeds the drying of your oil paints. It's also a thinner, but I added in to like this alizarin crimson plus the liquid. Just makes it thin enough to really flow very well as I put the centers in the flowers. And my hand is braced on my maul stick. My wrist is just braced on the maul stick, so I can just steadies my hand. And I make these. My flowers here I make them very impressionistically. I don't just follow my reference material exactly. Now when I was painting in the previous set of videos, I was painting some large flowers close up, then that's a different thing. But these here in the background are just very loose, impressionistic. Put some little buds in there. Pop of color and lots of texture. I paint these very thick. Should want a lot of texture in there. I'm just going to use some of my alizarin crimson to work around that leg. Okay, now I'm going to mix a little bit of white, just a tiny bit of cadmium yellow medium into my orange for highlights. Highlight the petals that are catching the sunlight. Let's get a little smaller brush here. This one's pretty. Okay. Move my maul stick out of the way. I'm going to brace my hand against the lower edge of the canvas. I don't think you can see that on the screen, but my left hand is braced against the lower edge of my canvas, and then my right wrist is resting on it. And I have to just gently lay this paint on so I don't pick up the greens underneath. But I want to put some highlights in here. And this skin is very thick. I have to keep wiping my brush. I don't want the highlights to be super, super bright. These are more subtle. Now I'm going to bring some stems in here. This is called a fine liner brush, and this just is, the stems of these poppies are very thin and fine. They're not real, again, I'm not super detailed, this is it very impressionistically that I'm doing this. I don't want these to be real prominent because I want them to stay behind the stars of our show, the little Jenny and her little filly. I'm going to go back in and accentuate just a few of those centers where I highlighted the flowers. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You will get a notification every time I post a new video. Also visit my blog. I show the complete step-by-step process as I work on this painting and the others I do. The link is in the description below. The address is also on the final frame of my video. You can subscribe also to my blog, and that way you'll get an email every time I make a new post. I usually post 2 or 3 times a week, so it depends on what else I've got going on. And life seems to get busier and busier. Just put a few little stems there. Put one more little flower bud up there. I don't like the shape of that. Let's change that a little bit. There we go. Like that better. And this is called a bright brush. It's a square brush, and you can see how I use the corner of it to make those little fine brush strokes. It's a very versatile brush. I particularly like them, and because I can use the broad edge to make big, cover flat areas, or use a corner then to do detail. Even with this bigger one, I can come back in and add smaller detail. So you have a wonderful, wonderful day. As you're out and about, just give somebody a smile. You never know what's going on in their life. That smile could really just brighten their day. So have a good one and happy painting.